Hi, this is Jill Justice with IslandGirlEats.com. I want to show you my latest arrival for my kitchen repertoire. This is The Professional Chef, the textbook written by the Culinary Institute of America. And this is a textbook I'm going to be using to work through for the next couple of years on learning kitchen equipment and kitchen skills. And specifically, we'll focus on knives, knife skills, and knife sharpening. So we're heading into my kitchen now. Join me. Aloha, it's Jill Justice with Island Girl Eats, and welcome to my kitchen. Today is a fairly brief lesson on sharpening knives. So I think we're ready. Let's get started. So as you probably know, the key to the most efficient use of a knife is having a sharp knife. Now, what I've determined is that my dad, who has always sharpened my knives, is a Pacific Ocean distance away from me. It's time I have to start sharpening my own knives. So I have used a couple of sources to that end. One is, again, The Professional Chef by the Culinary Institute of America. I'm using their initial chapter as a reference point for sharpening knives. And then I also called on a friend of mine who has completed culinary school, and he took me through some exercises and checked my skills to make sure that I did it properly. It's all in the technique. So let's take a closer look right now at the equipment we're using for our technique of knife sharpening. Here we have a sharpening stone, and this stone, you'll see, is actually comprised of two sides or two layers. This lighter side is what we call a medium coarseness, and this is the fine side. The medium coarseness is used to do the preliminary sharpening of both sides of the blade, and then we wipe down the knife and we sharpen again on the fine side of the stone. So the first step in sharpening knives is actually preparing our stone. And what's critical here is lubricating the stone. Some people use water, some people use oil. The critical thought here is you stay with the medium that you choose. If you start with oil on your stone, don't ever use water, and vice versa. If you start with water, don't ever use oil on the stone. This particular stone was started with oil, so that's what I'm going to continue with. I'm just wiping off a little of the grain that's been left over from the previous sharpening, and next I lubricate the stone completely with some sharpening oil. The sharpening oil you can get at sewing machine shops or knife shops. And what's critical here is that you lubricate the side you're going to use, start your sharpening, but keep an eye on the surface. Make sure it stays very well oiled throughout your process. If need be, you can always add more oil to the stone, rub it in lightly, and you're ready to go with the stone. So let's start with the workhorse of my knife collection. This is my favorite knife. It's a chef knife. Pretty large, nicely weighted, good bolster to protect my fingers. A great knife. So we'll start by sharpening this side of it first. So we're going to set the blade down on the stone right at the end of the bolster, which is the little connective part of the knife. We're going to set it at about a 20-degree angle up from the stone. Keep a constant pressure with 4 fingers on the knife and take it in a crescent shape across the stone. And you want to make sure you maintain even pressure, constant movement of your knife. Usually if your knives are maintained on a regular basis, you only need about 5 to 10 passes across the coarse side of your stone. Alright, now that we've finished sharpening this side of the knife, we're going to sharpen the other side of the blade. So we want to switch hands, hold the blade in, or hold the handle in my left hand, take the blade at a 20-degree angle at the other side of the stone. Again, 4 fingers of pressure and a crescent shape evenly, that wasn't too evenly, was it? Evenly and steadily across the stone, trying to maintain that 20-degree angle. Again, 5 to 10 passes. Nice. Now, we're going to clean off the blade, flip the stone over to the fine side, lubricate that with oil, and repeat the process. Again, 20-degree angle, 4 fingers on, crescent shape across the stone. I haven't oiled this yet, so I'm not going to do that. So now that we've sharpened our knives, it's time for the final step in the sharpening process, which is honing. And we hone with a sharpening steel. Basically, the sharpening steel has ridges, it's somewhat magnetic, and it's used to realign the molecules on your knife, whereas sharpening actually takes the blade down and creates a new sharpened blade. Honing merely realigns the molecules. So it's a very useful thing between sharpenings to hone your knives, and that preserves the blades, lets them last a little bit longer while you're not taking additional surface off of them. So to hone, we hold our honing steel straight out in front of us along with our knife. Put your knife right about the very base of it near the bolster. Start at the top of the steel, somewhat angled off the steel, and pull the knife down and through toward you. Same thing with the other side. And what you're looking for is a constant, consistent contact. You can actually start to hear when you make good contact with the knife. And as you get better, you'll be faster. You'll actually get a rhythm going. Not that I have one yet, but we'll get there. So maybe 10 to 20 passes on your knife. Check it, see that you have a great blade. And now we're ready to have some fun in the kitchen. Let's get started. Voila. Whoops. That'll be an outtake.